Okay. So we are live, folks.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
So
Hi, everybody.
we're live on the internet here, and
Incredible.
so welcome everybody so much for and thank you for being here. And I wanted to begin by saying that we're so honored to see you here, and also I just wanted to say that I apologize for some of the confusion around the password to get into this website. It was supposed to be in the ticket, and then it turns out that it was buried beneath a link that a lot of people didn't click through to see. So I apologize, and for any of you that might have you didn't get to finish the whole video or anything like that, the video will still be there and available for you to watch later. I'm hearing that I've got an echo.
Yeah.
Really?
So there is a way that you can get rid of it. I saw it earlier. But, I think it was in the settings.
Yeah.
Which,
yeah. Okay. I'll see
I'm
what I
not
can do about that.
Yeah.
Technology.
Okay. How about now, folks? Is that any better, Mika? And
Go to settings, then go to audio, and then echo cancellation.
yeah, I
You
just
may want to. Okay.
Is it any better, folks at home?
We would need you to write to us because we can't hear you.
That's right. We can't hear you. So tell us if it's better.
Write a little comment and let us know if you can actually hear better.
Okay.
Pam Jones.
They're saying it's okay. So I'm going to go on.
It's fine, Lorene says. Yay. Okay. Thank you, Lorene.
All right.
Sounds fine, Junji.
So everybody, again, thank you so much. And I'm glad you found your way here. And also, if you did miss anything or didn't finish the video, it will be there for you later on, and you can check it out. So
I saw a question there earlier.
Yeah, there are a couple in there. And you guys sort through them and tell me which ones you want to answer. But before we do that, I'll just continue my little introduction here. But my name is Douglas Detrick. I'm Executive Director of Portland Jazz Composers Ensemble. And also I have with me here, Mika Brueggemann is kind of on the top right of your screen. And Virginia Lopez is on the bottom of your screen. Hello, Virginia. Very good. So also, you saw in the video, Yvonne Alamo playing guitar and Trace. And also Chris Nakato was playing bass. And I think that those guys were not able to join us today, but Mika and Virginia are ready and waiting for your questions.
Well, I saw
yeah, there's some good advice on there. If you're hearing an echo, it might be because your own computer is putting out sound and also picking it up on a microphone. So if you put on headphones, it might help. But I think that the echo is not here in our end. And
yeah, what Julie is saying that if people put in earbuds, they may hear better. Because I put this thing on and it's really good. I can hear much better.
Great.
Yeah.
So here's a good one to start with. This comes from Lee, and
hi, Hillary.
And he asks, I'm curious how each of you found your way to Portland, and once here, how did you find each other? Virginia, I think you have a long story about how you got to Portland. Would you like to give us? Oh
man, I could talk forever, but I'm going to make it short, just for the sake of time and to let Mika answer something. And you, I moved to Portland because I was going to be a chiropractor. And once I realized I had to borrow every cent to buy a bar of soap, I changed my mind. And so I let them keep my deposit. I became a nurse. So basically, the way I met Mika was I went to a concert at the place on 15th and Broadway. What is that called? Aztec Willie's. Aztec Willie's. And I went there to see back in 2000 and whenever it was, 2005. I mean, it was 2006. You had just moved to, I met your mom before I met you, Mika. I walked in by myself, which is how I always do a lot. I'm not worried about going by myself. I want to check the salsa band. And then I was early and I sat with this lady and she had a space in the, and she said, yeah, join me. And then we talked about her being in Portland for a little bit. And then she said, by the way, that's my daughter playing and that's in that band. Oh, okay. So then I met Mika, and it's been a joy. Mika is my bestie. People ask me if Mika is Cuban because Mika is channeling the Cuban style. I love it. You're a good musician.
I have a good teacher.
Right.
So how I came in, I was going to go to school. How did I meet Mika? At Aztec Willie's 2006. And that's when the band started. So it's a long history now.
Yeah.
Many years.
And Mika, how about for you? So we heard how you met. How did you come to Portland?
So I was born and raised in Redlands, California, Southern California, and I went to college in Arizona. I did my student teaching. I was a music education and performance major, and I did my student teaching in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I then got a very strange impulse to join the Air Force and play as a musician in the Air Force for 4 years. So I was stationed in Dayton, Ohio for 2 years. And then I was stationed in Northern California for my last 2 years. And then at that time, my sister was living here in Portland. And when I would go visit, I always really loved it. I also have some great friends in Chicago at the time, musician friends that I went to college with. And I was interested in moving to Chicago. It was between the two. And after my dad had passed, Mom made the decision to move up to Portland. And so she bought a place before she could move. So I said, "Ooh, I'll house sit for you, and I'll, kind of get a better lay of the land of Portland, Oregon." And I've been here ever since. So July of 2005 is when I moved up here.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Let's take this one. Let's take this one from Hillary.
Oh, my Hillary. Yeah.
Congratulations, Hillary, too, by the way, on your recent nuptials.
Ooh.
Happy marriage to my girl.
Yeah. So what's your favorite part of playing music in Portland?
Well, Portland is an amazing place to play music. There are so many musicians. I love being able to just play. And I love the Melao group, and I love Mika, and I love Art and Brian and everybody from the horn section and Jay. I feel like the best part of playing music for me in Portland specifically has been to be able to feel like I have a group of people that are like my family and that we have so much fun together. I love the fact that when we play, we allowed each other to express by having solos, express your feelings however you need to. We support each other as we take turns. And the band, was, I don't know, was Corona times,
Right.
12 people in it, and it could have been a lot bigger, but we just couldn't fit because people wants to play with us and it's so much fun. In general, playing music is a way for me to be in touch with myself and the spirit of the music. It's a way to bring joy to people. And when I see people loosen their bodies there and just going into a trance, I love it. To me, I feel like I'm doing my job. Mika.
Yeah, I think that the Portland music community is amazing. It's been a really welcoming community, and it's been challenging, but I say that in a positive way. So I feel like I have improved as a musician because of this specific musicians community in Portland. And I've had opportunities like working with Virginia and working with different ensembles that have really been very nurturing. Everybody's been very welcoming and just having me sit in, in rehearsals or join various different organizations, groups to perform with. And they've really inspired me to get better at my craft and do what I do. So that's what I enjoy most about playing in Portland. So
I want to add a little bit to that and to say, what is it like to bring, music from Cuba and to bring it to Portland? I think there's, correct me if I'm wrong, but there's probably not a large Cuban community in Portland. I mean, I know that there are some for sure. But you correct me if I'm wrong, please. But then also just how has that been for you as somebody who's bringing this tradition that's not as well known here in Portland and teaching people about it and getting people interested in it? How's that been for you in Virginia?
Well, first of all, I never expected to be teaching anybody or to be playing in any big bands. I'm the kind of person that naturally I play a lot of drums and music, sing with people as part of the culture. So when I came to Portland and I finished nursing school, I wanted to play with people. And I started to play to realize that many people did not know how to play the conga drum, the language of the Cuban conga language. And so I started teaching. And as I started teaching, then Mambo Queens happened. And it's basically mostly women in my group. Lorraine was reading Mambo Kings, Sings the Blues. And so Mambo Queens was a way that she came up with that very catchy name. And I did that for many years. We were as big as a 25 piece drum orchestra. And then Melao happened when I started changing into wanting to sing in Spanish and have be more like Celia Cruz. There was something about me that I had to do that. And so basically, as far as coming into a place that is not very common, I've been very welcome. People love the music. I think it's very powerful, very exciting. It's very happy music. It's inspirational. It's a place to jam and let your heart scream out whatever you're going through. And so basically, wherever I go, I'm going to do the same thing. Once I left Cuba, the world is my country. So if I have to go to China tomorrow, I better learn Chinese. But I'll be teaching salsa. I'll be teaching my drumming. I'll be trying to sing with people. See, if I don't do my music, I die. My spirit dies. So basically, I have to bring it out. I am so blessed to have the people that have just join me for the heck of it, for the fun of it. That's all I care. That's all I care about. Somebody asked me, how many Cubans are in your band? And I said, well, one for sure. Isn't that all it takes?
Right.
And so we're feisty that way. There are 4 or 5 Cubans in Portland. There's 4 or 5 bands in Cuba. I wish we could get along better. I have a few that I really get along with, and I'm so glad. But some people are into, I'm better than you, and you're better than me, and competition. Well, it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be that way. But also being a woman leader of a band, as a Latina, brown-skinned, Spanish-speaking first woman, I don't get a lot of opening into the big concert that Latino was organizing in Portland, Salsa en la Calle. I have not been asked to play there once. So there you go. But, I can't focus on that. I don't want to. My focus is on the joy of playing the music, the people that are with me that truly let me be who I am. And the rest, they can have it. I don't care.
Yeah, for sure. That's right. You pick your priorities and, you do what you believe in. And I think that's something I can certainly relate to. And I think that PJCE as well, we want to bring out these great musical stories that are, amongst us in Portland that maybe only a few people know about. And actually, speaking of a story, I wanted to kind of move us in that direction a bit, is to talk a little bit about kind of the story of this project and a few things that I've learned since we did it. I was doing some more research about John Coltrane, and so we talked about this kind of connection that happened between the two of you, where you were teaching a song to Mika and the band, and Mika started recognizing like, I know that melody, but I don't know where. And then eventually she recognized it as Afro Blue, or maybe it was the one
The other one,
from Love
yeah,
Supreme. Yeah,
yeah. But they're both the same story, really.
exactly.
Yeah. Basically, the fact that the melody goes back to Africa, whether you're looking at a Love Supreme or you're looking at Afro Blue. In other words, people have been influenced by Cuban music. Jazz musicians, particularly, have loved to go to Cuba and study and learn there. Every year they have a jazz festival there in December, which is very international. And Cuba is the mecca for music because there's so much, it's so rich. And they have an incredible school downtown Havana that focuses on teaching the best musicians. And so Cuban music is addicting. It's addicting. Yes? Tell me, Mika, talk about that.
Yes. I mean, my first experience was actually when I was in the Air Force. Dear trumpet friend, recently departed, sadly. Trumpet friend John Ruff. He was playing in a salsa band in San Francisco, and I was stationed in Vacaville at the time. And I don't know why he asked me, but he asked me to sub on Barry for a trombone book. We thought that we would get there plenty of time to rehearse the parts and go through everything. And the traffic was so bad that we got there 5 minutes before the gig. And so not only did I have to sight read, but then I had to be following the vocalist's cues to go to different places, because you don't just read left to right in Cuban music. And so John is playing the trumpet with one hand and then pointing to another part of the music with his other hand. And it was terrifying, but it was also so exhilarating to not only listen to the music, but to also perform the music. And I just was sucked in from minute one. And John started introducing me to some salsa music. So I was over the moon when I met Virginia and had this opportunity to learn more about Cuban music and starting to learn about the relationship of African music and how that is so infused in jazz. And yeah, it's addicting. And also I think too, little known fact about me, I took dance lessons for a good 10 years, your typical jazz tap ballet, although my personality didn't really fit with the ballet thing. But that's another element, because I spent so much of my youth dancing, that just makes it even more addictive to me personally, is not only the dancing element, but then the music element on top of that I just love. I can't get enough of it.
I would like to mention that Cuban music is Africa, number one. Native music, native words that's still native, like maraca. Maraca is a native word. Cuba is a native word. The Spaniards wanted to call her Juana. Could you believe that? Juana? No, thanks. So that did not stick. Africa is a major influence in Cuba and all the so-called tropical music. They bring the rhythms, the drums, the different rhythms that belong to their different nations. Africa is very big, and Cuba sometimes is called Little Africa because the different nations of Africans from sub-Sahara area, including not just the West African Ivory Coast to Nigeria, but Benin, very big, but also Congo River, the conga lined when you dance, the conga drum, rumba, mambo. Those are Congo words, Congolese words. So the more I study, the more I realize that's my desires to continue to keep learning. I'm beginning to learn Yoruba language now. I'm beginning to try to see. It's very difficult to find out what the traditional Lukumi songs. The Lukumi are the descendants of the Yoruba people in Cuba, and their songs are so beautiful. And I am beginning to get a lot of the words, and I keep researching and talking to people who know. But it's a language that was developed as folk heard something and passed it on. So my godmother, Amelita Pedroso Ibae, and I used to joke a lot about a song that goes, "O Fenikia, O Fenikia." And people heard, "O Felicidad, O Fel." And then my godmother would say, "But it would not in Christmas time? What's going on about this happiness to have felicidad? It's O Fenikia." It had nothing to do, but that's what people hear. So when today, 500 years later, we're trying to know what these songs mean, and people ask me all the time, I always say, I don't care. We pass it on phonetically. Someday we're going to know. But in the meantime, enjoy it. And number one, keep that melody honest. Because that melody is why we could see that Afro Blue is actually Baba Fururu. And that is why we know that a love supreme is actually Iyamile, a love supreme.
Yeah. You know, something that's really interesting about that particular connection is that it's actually what I found after I learned this story from you two. I was doing more research to just learn about this connection between John Coltrane and AfroQB music, and I found that there's a couple of books out there that document this, and it's actually quite well documented. But between the two of you, it happened completely spontaneously.
Yeah. Very
so
interesting.
I just thought that was really fascinating how that happened, and that
Doug,
connection just
later
happened.
send me the information about those books.
Okay.
I'd be very interested to see what that is, because
Yeah.
we got to there by just working together.
Right.
Just through the music itself.
Through the music itself, the melody.
Yeah.
The melody.
The melody.
Yeah, it is amazing how sometimes there's history that's built into this music that can tell us a lot about ourselves that we didn't know. And it's just right in the music. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about Julie was kind of asking us to talk a little bit more about this connection between Cuban music and Africa, and we've covered that a little bit. But I did, and we've talked a bit about jazz, with John Coltrane being a really important example of this, but there was also Afro Blue. So we talk about that as Baba Fururu. I said it wrong, I know, but
that's okay.
But then it was kind of adapted into a dance pop tune by Mongo Santa Maria, who was a Cuban immigrant, and so he kind of did the same process that we asked you to go through to, find some inspiration in these songs from Lukumi, from Santeria, these songs, and to adapt, take that and do what they did and adapt that into a new song that kind of spoke about our time, right here during COVID in Portland, all these things that are happening right now. And so I'm thankful that you did that. But I'm
very thankful that you actually invited us to do this project. And I thank Mika for connecting me with you. Yeah. I am so fortunate because I haven't done anything. I have been resisting the whole Zoom and being on the internet. Yeah. But now I'm getting into it. I like it. Maybe I'll start something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah,
we don't know how long we're gonna. I gotta be with a program here. This is Corona times, baby.
Well, here we are 7 months later.
Wow.
We're still doing this stuff online.
Maybe that's it. 7 is my number. I waited 7 months, and now I'm coming out.
There you go. Yeah, we'll see. I think we didn't know we were going to be here for so long. I thought 7 weeks.
Yeah,
That
right.
that turns out to have been very short-sighted, and
Yeah. Yeah.
but I think
Yeah.
a lot of people went through that, and in some cases, um, you know, anyway, for all kinds of reasons. So I wanted to ask you, Virginia, to kind of go on to talk more about, kind of these African roots in this music. And I wanted to ask you, specifically, um, about this idea of this music as part of a faith tradition, as, a religious tradition, a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
Can talk
Yeah.
about, how is
Yeah.
this music? How
Yeah.
does it express that? And
Yeah.
then there's
Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
one other, before I turn you loose, just one thing I wanted to ask is, like, when we start with that spiritual tradition and then turn it into, maybe a dance music, a pop music, do you feel that is that disrespectful in any way? Do you think that's a totally appropriate thing to do? What are your thoughts about that?
The music belongs to everybody. The music belongs to whoever studies it.
Mhm.
What happens in my mind and is that basically to know the origin of this music, you have to go back to the way that it was not as open as it is now. It actually was very underground
Hmm.
house temples, temple houses. It was a house, casa de templo. They were called, anyways, they're basically spiritual associations where people uh, decided to do mutual society organization of themselves because so many Africans have been sold and destroyed families that they were not even from the same uh, family, let alone being from the same nation. So basically, one thing, the Spaniards, in their way of colonizing the people, controlling the people, they decided as their strategy to keep them separate by nations. So in order to do that, the reason why they did that in their mind is because Africans in Africa were having their conflicts. So if they keep them in their own nation, as they put them in these spaces segregated by nations, then they may not fight with each. They may not unite and fight against the Spaniards. That's number one. But what it did was it preserved the language, somewhat, a lot of it, but it evolved, of course, within the houses of mutual help, mutual society. So, in times of sickness, in times of problems, in times of death, they would be able to put their pennies together and help each other. But then they also started to then do the music that they already know from. This is as particularly the Yoruba people are from an area that is in Nigeria that today is called Ife. And Ife is a sacred place and it was very beautiful. And they had incredible art from the times. When they come here, they could have been a king, a queen, a princess, a regular worker, but everybody was thrown together. So there were some priests that came that actually brought with them the knowledge. And there was a lot of Cuban, African women from Africa in Cuba started this way of teaching people. And there were several very important in Havana and all of other places, because one of them actually traveled through the whole island with her drummers and her singers, and they were constantly sharing this culture. So this is a culture. This is a music that comes from people in West Africa. Now, people in Africa themselves travel and share, and the music moves around all Africa. So it's not like, it's important to know that there are things that are very universal that have to do with rhythms that come from Africa, that is given the flavor of what Latin music is, of what, whatever. All the music that has any funk is from Africa. And you can quote me on that.
Yeah, and there was
So-
mention of the 6/8 time, Virginia, which you and I have talked about as being a spiritual kind of rhythm used.
Well,
yes?
it is, because the 6/8 bell, a 6/8 pattern, whether you play it on bell or a drum or however you play, you clap it. And one. And one.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
So
6.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yes.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that pattern is ingrained, just like a clave, in people's bodies. It's how you think of time. Remember, Mika, when we talk about measures and how I had to figure out how many measures in a clave? So because
just
in my
now,
mind,
you were saying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I was feeling 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in your 6/8 clave pattern.
yeah.
But we
You
do
can
the same
divide
thing with the
time.
measures. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And you can divide time in so many ways. One and do it.
But
One
then how
two
is
and three and four.
the 6/8 time is also a spiritual, right?
Well, 6/8
Am I remembering that right?
it's like a waltz. It's like a waltz. 6/8 it's in triplet. Tan 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 tan. But what happens is that's only one of many. It's the most known one, the 6/8. It is classical, as in classical from many years ago, African classical music. Yes, there is another one that is very interesting that has really taken hold of a lot of music, not just in the popular music, but in all the African descendant people that play this. People play that in the South in the United States with a stick.
Oh yeah.
Because they took their drums away. People in the South of the United States use their shoes to dance it. That is called tresillo. It actually has a name. If you ever get a hold of Rebecca Moleon book on salsa, I bought that book, even though I can't really read it very well, because all her percussion things in it are perfect. Rebecca Moleon. So tresillo, clave, there are many claves, 6/8. But you can play a different bell, very similar to it, leaving the one out. And it's the bell for güiro, or bembe, as they call it in Cuba and Havana, but it's basically güiro. And güiro is the one that is played with just one drum and chequeres. So it's just endless. The way you play 6/8, you do pa 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 pa. The way you play the other one is you leave the one out. Pa 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 pa. One ta 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 ta. One ta 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 ta. One. You don't play the one. There is so much to learn in Cuban music that I know I have to come back again and reincarnate, because I won't be able to do it all in this lifetime. So I'm coming back.
Yeah, I mean it's really funny that rhythm, you hear so much. Yeah.
And the downbeat.
Yeah.
Second line when you hear the drummer.
Yes. Second line. That's it. But it's this everywhere.
Yeah.
And the clave, the da 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 da. That son clave, because there are many claves, but the son clave, da 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 da. Rock and roll.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so I mean those foundations, I mean, I think, sometimes people don't realize how important that African rhythms and these contributions are to American music. Like we wouldn't have American music without those.
Yeah, I want to, before I forget, to let you know that there is a movie called Rumble Rumble. Rumble on Netflix is a movie about the influence of Native American drumming in rock and roll and guitar players that are Native people that had to hide behind being a Native person unless, you couldn't. And so Rumble, look it up. The influence of Native people is essential to understand the difference in music around the world. The same African people from the same area of West Africa and Congo were taken by the Portuguese, and they took them to what today is called Brazil. It's the biggest place in the Americas where African peoples have been taken to. They speak Portuguese in a Brazilian way. We speak Spanish in a Cuban way, but the melodies are the same. There is a CD that is called Bata Ketu, Bata for the drum of Bata from Cuba, Bata, Ketu, Ketu, which is the Brazilian way. And Michael Spire did a CD where he brought the melodies together by bringing musicians from Cuba with musicians from Brazil, and they basically did this beautiful thing where they're singing and they go into the Cuban way, and then the drums continue. The drums don't change, and then the Portuguese person comes in with their version of the same melody. With the, it's the most incredible thing.
Yeah.
So it's not simple. We are not simple. It's not this or this. It's this and this and this and this and that and all the stuff that we don't know.
All the things.
All of it.
Right.
All the things we know and all the things
I'm literally taking notes right now, so I'll check these. I'll check these things out after we're done here.
So yeah, that's boldly, Lee. You're right. Da 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 da. You just put a melody, but it's da 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 da. That's the clap.
Or I'm also hearing the hand jive from Greece. Da, 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 da,
Right. Da 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 da.
Yeah, I that tresillo rhythm. I'm writing a song using that rhythm that goes all the way through right now.
Oh.
Yeah.
Which I did because I've heard it in other places that were really appealing to me, and just the way that people work with that. And so it's just amazing how deep and broad those connections can be.
Yeah. Another way to see the influence of Cuban music in the North American society, you got to watch That's Entertainment back in Fred Astaire's time. This goes back to a long time. Cuba has been like a backyard of the United States for a long time until the revolution. But cars used to just roll down, brand new cars would roll down the Havana streets before they came out here. And it's part of how it's a great playground for people with money. And that's happening today.
Yeah.
Cool.
I think that the Hemingway Marina is open. Just get your sailboat over there.
What is the Hemingway Marina, Virginia?
It's the most beautiful marina where all the yachts and fancy boats are welcome. It's
Cuba?
on the northern side of Havana, of Cuba. Okay. Yeah, the northern line, the northern coast. Yeah, Hemingway. Yeah, Hemingway Marina is beautiful.
Okay.
So don't think of Cuba as a place falling apart, because it is, but it's also it's complicated.
Yeah.
Very complicated. Like I still don't understand, and I know we're not supposed to talk about that, but I still don't understand all my Cuban people that voted for Trump. But that's we're going to talk about that another time. I still don't understand it. Don't get it.
Yeah. Well, I think that's one thing that, even in just the title of this project, Asere, bolá, we had to explain that's Cuban Spanish. It's not, you're not going to hear that phrase in any other
Well, a lot of what
Hispanic
happened,
country.
people study Spanish and then they hear a Cuban and they're like, what? Because Cubans break we never pronounce the end of the song of a word. And if we do, we don't, like melao. Melao is melado with dio. We don't do that. So melao, ripiao. Everything is ow. We don't say ado. We say ow. So then you talk 20,000 miles an hour, and then you fuse together all the words.
Right.
It's done on purpose.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
Right.
On purpose.
Well, yeah, I think so. I think, what we've learned there is that, Hispanic cultures they're not all the same. There are these distinctions. And so, music coming from Mexico, music coming from Cuba, they do have things in common, which we've talked about. But they're not the same. And we have to think about that. And I think, and then that goes back to the political leanings of, Spanish speaking folks in the United States. They're not all going to be the same.
And
I
I
think
want to
that's going to
say
be fun for
something
us to
about
learn.
that. I am Cuban, but I could only speak about my personal experience.
Mm-hmm.
I am not speaking for all the Cubans. I am not the speaker for the culture. I can only tell you about me, my experiences, my family, what I did, how we lived. Everybody has their own nuclear family culture, if that's what you have, if you have a nuclear family culture. If you don't, you have some story of who you are. Everybody has their own story. So never think that a Cuban is a Cuban is a Cuban. Mm-mm. Maybe a rose is a rose, it's a rose, but not Cubans.
Right.
No, baby. That's a mistake.
Absolutely. Well, guys, I think we've been going for about 40 minutes. Thank you
Julie
so
wanted
much.
to know what Asere
Wow.
bolá means.
Yeah, that's a good.
Yeah. Oh, Julie just wrote, she wants to know what the title means.
Yeah.
Asere. Asere is an African word for saying, hey, my buddy. Hey, buddy. Asere is part of being in a social organization of African peoples that came from the Abakwa, a religious group of, it used to be basically a private organization of Black African people, men only, Abakwa. But like everything that started in a very underground, scared of coming out, getting in trouble with the police, they'll take your drums away if they find you doing some kind of ceremony. All these fears have gone right now, especially since the revolution. The government of Cuba has really exploited the fact that Cuba's culture is so rich. So musicians in Cuba, up to very recently, have been like the ambassadors of the culture. But the Cuban government has changed that now. And now it's forbidden to play music in the streets, in the corner, unless you're paying the government. But that's another, that's another one we'll do later.
So I wanted to let everybody know that I just put a link. It's kind of a little ticker going across the bottom of the screen, but we would love to know what you think about this project. And you can do that at pjce.org/survey. Let us know how we did. And also that includes if you couldn't even find your way here. And I guess you won't hear me say these words if you didn't find your way here. But if you had trouble accessing the videos, let us know. We're going to do our best to make it better next time. But we'd also like to know what you thought about the music, about the conversation, all of those things. We'd love to know, and to know who you are so that we know who we're reaching. And we'd love to hear from you. So pjce.org/survey.
I want to say that if you want to be in touch with us, I'm probably going to start teaching. I have to. I have to play music. I may be making a little video for you. I have no idea, but this I like this. This is good. You got me started, Doug. And so if you want to get in touch with us, go to Google Cuban Music PDX, and you can find us. Cuban Music PDX. All one word, cubanmusicpdx.com. Thank you so much. I
Yeah.
really love that we could be together for a little bit
Yay.
like this.
Yes. Thank you so much, Virginia.
Thank
you,
you.
Mika.
Thank you,
Thanks,
Mika.
Doug. Thanks,
Yeah,
everybody,
honored.
for coming out and checking us
Yeah.
out. Too.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for being
Yay.
with us today. Yeah.
All right. Thank you
Thank
guys
you.
so much. We'll see you around. But
Yes.
thanks for your work and the stories and your words and all this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Doug.
All right, guys.
Take
Good
care.
evening. Bye-bye, everybody at home.
Bye-bye.